Hi, it's Kyle Meredith. Welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With. It's an audio interview series presented by WFPK, Independent Louisville, and Consequence of Sound. Today I'm talking with Sadie from Speedy Ortiz about their new record, Twerp Verse, that finds a release on April 27th. There's a lot of big issues she's tackling here. We got to talk about how she went about writing on those, as well as the album that they scrapped right after the election in 2016. She's also got a new guitarist on board, and we talk about the single Lucky 88. It's Kyle Meredith with Speedy Ortiz.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, it's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, you too. How are you doing?
I'm well. I want to talk about Twerp Verse, the new record, April 27th.
Cool. Shockingly soon.
It is shockingly soon. Well, we've heard 3 songs so far?
And you're not getting any more.
Oh, everything sounds really freaking great so far. I'm excited about the record.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see here. You know,
it's nice to live in that kind of limbo when it's like done and you know what it's like and you've got everything planned, but like still get to be at home and no one's like, really heard it yet. It's a nice calm time before the storm of like press and tour.
I'm jumping in that. I'm ruining all of that for you this morning.
Oh yeah, it's really my whole Monday totally shot.
Well, I mean, the 3 songs I've heard so far, each one of them seems like they are tackling a big issue in a way, but without trivializing or even really being completely specific. Like there's still a lot of lyrical mystery going on here. Is that something that you wanted to do? Because they're obviously, like for some people, they're just writing their anti-Trump record, or whatever version of that is. And that's not what this is. This is something bigger. This is something that feels more human, I guess.
I think maybe a signature of this project is that it's never been, I like the expression you just used, lyrical mystery. That seems really fun to me. I've always really viewed getting the lyrics right as like this big puzzle for me and wanting to make sure that they do things that surprise me and that they would be fun to read on the page and not just hear in the song. So while these are very intentionally big subjects that we're working on this record, I didn't want to lose that sense of play that is sort of inherent to Speedy Ortiz lyrics that makes them so fun for me to write and sing and make album artwork where I'm so excited for people getting to read them written down. So it's a balance of that, wanting to sort of not explore, but really just vent about the things that frustrate me on a daily basis, but also do it in a way that the lyrics could be something interesting to dig into and kind of unpack.
Was there anything, I guess, subject-wise that you had tried to tackle but couldn't articulate in that way?
Well, there's a couple songs that are older that maybe I had written years ago but didn't feel like it was the right timing for me to put a song like that into the world. Like Villain, for example, is from almost 4 years ago at this point, and I had been holding on to this demo for a long time because it just didn't seem like a subject that I was ready to delve into, specifically because it is about harassment and sexual assault. Whereas like when I did the Sad 13 project a couple of years ago, I did this very positive, celebratory song about affirmative consent, and it seems like consent is much more a part of our national conversation at this point, and it felt like a time that it was okay to release that song Villain and that maybe it could contribute something to somebody else.
And as the story goes, I read, you had started a record. I don't know how far you got into it before kind of saying, that's not it.
We did 11 songs.
Wow.
So we tracked it. We tracked it. We kind of pre-mixed it like 4 times. It wasn't just the election, but that was definitely like a final straw where I had sort of been feeling like, for instance, Villain is from 2014. A number of the songs were sort of from around that time period, written right after the Foil Deer record was done. And while I liked the songs, they just didn't have anything to do with not only like the national context, but like the things that I'm thinking about and worrying about on a daily basis. And it felt like, for whatever reason, putting out a time capsule to put out music from 2014 to 2015 when I just was concerned about different things, and we didn't really want to do something like that. So we went back into the studio in early 2017 and kind of redid the record.
And that's amazing to be that far into it. Like, I didn't know you were that far into it. 11 songs tracked, pre-mixed.
We're using all the songs that we scratched. So a couple of them, there's like a deluxe. They're all good. They just, they weren't a record that said anything. And I really like for a record to be its own cohesive thing that has a meaning and, can exist in its own world. And I just didn't think this record, as it stood, said much of anything. So, but we're using the songs for other things. So there's like a bonus 7-inch that comes with the deluxe record, and that has 2 of the old songs. And for instance, like the Japanese CD will have some of the songs, so Americans will never hear them, but that's okay. Of the Japanese fans too. So they'll go to things like that.
Like I said,
and
I
maybe,
do like
in 20 years, Car Park will do like a, quadruple disc where every B-side gets attached to the record, like Matador style.
Right. Well, like I said, I do like how you're doing it, though. The style, like I was saying, it's not like I said, I didn't hear like the one song. It's like that asshole in Office or anything like that. And the timing, I mean, it really could be better because, I mean, the movements, they're not going away after a week like I feel like they used to. I was just randomly listening to, I think it was the Eurythmics, and they were doing Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves, as it was like her and Aretha. And I thought, here's something, a song about the pay gap. And that was, in the mid 80s or early 80s. And then it just got washed away and everything. And that song maybe sort of became a little touchstone or an anthem here and there, but was never able to take root. Whereas I feel like songs like you're writing right now actually have a chance of being part of this bigger conversation.
Yeah, I do think that, I wouldn't say that that's like specific to our band, but certainly like a lot of the record is not so much anti-Trump, but that's sort of about the horror at this time, but also celebrating the people who are pushing back against the horrifying things. I think a lot of the record I tried to write about maintaining optimism, and most of the optimism that I feel is from seeing that there are actions in Philly almost every day. Like today there's one about shutting down Starbucks. Like a few days ago there was one protesting the Philadelphia Orchestra because they're performing in Israel. So almost every day there's some kind of action and people are showing up, like hundreds or thousands of people are showing up. And so I think that, like, as, there's plenty to protest, there's also a lot to sort of affirm and see as, like, useful, productive behavior in shaping a world that can exist the way we want it to. So I think a lot of the record is sort of about looking at, who's doing what's right and trying to support that.
I love it. I really do. I love the take on it because I know you're a band. I was saying the other day with the new video and the fish head monster thing, and I think you've written somewhere like, we're a band that's really into monsters, and I thought, well, there sure seem to be a few extra scary ones out there right now if you're looking for them.
Oh God, yeah, it's made making the metaphors have just come so much easier. We've always done monster videos, and now they really resonate. I will say I was concerned about this interview this morning because normally I'm up quite early, but I said my friend is visiting from out of town, and we watched Paranormal Activity last night, and I became so scared. I'm so scared of it that I slept with the lights on and didn't go to sleep for very long because I was just afraid to. So I'm a little groggier this morning than I normally would be.
That way.
Scary movies?
Yeah.
Big time. And I was thinking about it because I can do a horror comedy like nobody else. Like I love Scream. It's my favorite movie. Just watched Happy Death Day. It was great. If it's like an artier horror movie, like I saw Raw a few weeks ago, that was great. But if it's just like purely scary, I cannot function. And I think that's why we do the music videos sort of as genre movies, because they're closer to horror comedy in the context of a music video than anything actually scary.
Right. There was another aspect of this. You got a new guitarist for this record, and I wondered, how'd that affect the writing for you, if at all?
I wouldn't say it affected the writing because I think most of it was written before he joined the band. Yeah, but he records on half the record, and everything that Andy wound up on, I think, is much better for it. And the songs that he features on are my favorites of the record. So really, I was talking to him about this the other day because I think something that's challenging for other guitarists who play in this project with me, and really in the Sad 13 project too, but that's a little easier because on the recordings it's just me. Mm-hmm. But I overwrite everything. I always have 5 different intricate guitar parts sort of planned for any given song, and it doesn't necessarily give someone a lot of room to write. So sort of where Andy's role in these songs, a lot of what he plays almost sounds like a synth because he's really he got right into the tone zone. He just really came up with interesting tones that would not fill space, but it just complements so well all of the chaos that is going on in what I'm doing. And then in the parts where I was kind of laying back, he could really shine and do his own chaos. So I think it's challenging to write around me because I write so much. And what Andy's doing really well is he's got amazing tone, amazing texture, and isn't afraid to just do a simple quote unquote simple rhythm that like makes the part. He's got his own project, Laser Background, where he's doing the same thing, like overwriting. There's a million melodies going on all the time. So I think for him, it's like a fun exercise to figure out how to fit into whatever already exists in these songs.
You mentioned the, Sad 13 and that sort of being the point in between the two Speedy records. There are moments on this record, like Lucky 88, when I thought, that seems like a direct line from something that could have happened also in Sad 13 in a way, which is natural when you've got the same songwriter. That's you're going to have those moments or whatever. But now I wonder if there comes a time when it all sort of starts to be more of one thing. If it has to be separated like that.
I think the big difference is just that there's like collaborators in this project, specifically like Mike and Darl. To me, Lucky 88, like the best parts of the song came from Mike and Darl, our drummer and bassist respectively, because I had kind of just come up with this little like dinky demo, and I was writing with a synth because it was my mom for Christmas when I wrote that song, so I had just like an OP1, that little pocket synth, and that was all I had to write with. So I actually like wrote almost no guitar for this song when I made and sent them this demo. There's like a couple guitars that I did when I got home, and actually I think any guitar I play on this song was just tracked like in my living room. So I sent it to Darl and Mike, and Mike sent me back, like, I keep telling the story, but I think it's so funny because he sent me back like 5 different wave files. He went to his practice space, and I thought he was going to send me back a drum part idea. And he sent me things that were like drum idea 1, drum idea 2, up to 5 drum parts. And I was like, oh, I like, 2 and 4. Like, what are you leaning towards? And he was like, no, we're going to layer all of them at once. So I thought that was so cool. He hasn't really, he's double tracked sections before, but it's never been like, this many interlocking drum parts. And I love that idea of how that song builds. And that was really, truly like Mike's thing. You can hear even on the song, like there's a little drum machine part that opens up the song, and that was like my drum idea that I sent him for the whole song, and he just like rightfully dismissed what I had and came up with this awesome thing, and I love what he did. And Darl, same kind of thing. Like I had sent him just my, playing bass on a synth, like really simple root note stuff, and I wasn't happy with that at all. And Darl is really great for, similar to what I said about Andy, like sometimes there's so much chaos going on, and sometimes Darl's contributing to that, and sometimes he knows to just do the like Kim Deal thing, like, eighth note bass part, doing the root note. Mm-hmm. Kim Deal and the Pixies, which I think she gave interviews about, like not overcomplicating the bass. And in this one, Darl did overcomplicate the bass, but in a way that's so perfect. Like I love what he did on the chorus. So like it could never have been a Sad 13 song, because the whole point of that project is not so much that it's synths or drum machines or pop, but that it's just like me working it out at home and not having collaborators. Whereas I'm so thankful to work with these guys in this band, and I don't know, the song would be such a different thing if they hadn't added what they did.
Well, there's a reviewer that I'll have to agree with that said, first listen to that song, and it's instantly one of the best rock songs of 2018.
Oh, wow. Who said that?
What is that? Maybe
I love them.
I'll co-sign too. Yeah, I'll co-sign.
Oh, I'm gonna have a spring in my step all day.
It is. It's such a catchy song and a really fun one. It's funny though. The first time I heard it, I think I just had the earbuds in or whatever, and I thought you were saying Rocket 88. I didn't look down at the title, and Rocket 88 being like the very first rock song, or technically speaking or whatever. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting, and
I like that.
Yeah. So it still sort
maybe
of
I'll
worked.
do the thing where like live I change the lyrics, which is always a fun time. When you listen to something, I don't know if you have this experience, like sometimes when I'm listening to my own song, listening back to it, I can kind of hear like the mondegreens that other people will hear, where I'm like, because I didn't enunciate it in the way that maybe translates well. And so when I listen to that song, I'm like, are people going to think it's Lucky Idiot? Like, lucky idiot on my door?
Yeah, there have been some really great moments of misheard lyrics that have, lasted time. So it's not the worst thing in the world, I guess.
Yeah, if we wind up on the right side of a mondegreen, I'm not going to mind.
I really love the record. I'm so happy, that you're still knocking these out of the park the way they. I always say when you become a fan of a band,
you get really nervous sometimes when the new records come out. It's like, oh God, I hope I love this one as much as the last one.
Will they be terrible now?
and luckily, I love this one just as much as the last one. So that's always the big win right there.
Thanks. I think it's for us. It sounds like a much bigger departure from the first record than the second one does. Like the second record, we had a lot more time to flesh out, but it still kind of centers that like overdriven guitar stuff, which I still love. And this record does in a way too, but I don't know. We really played a lot more with texture and space, and to me it seems quite different from the previous two, and I'm psyched on that.
I would agree on it. Well, that's it. So thank you so much.
Oh wow,
it was fun talking.
Yes, you as well.
All right. Well, congratulations. April 27th, Twerp Verse. We'll be looking forward to that. I'll talk to you
soon.
All right.
Have a good day.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks again to Sadie from Speedy Ortiz for the call. Again, the new record is called Twerp Verse, out April 27th. Don't forget to subscribe to Consequence of Sound's YouTube channel to keep up with your favorite artists and interviews, and WFPK.org. That's where I do a show every Monday through Thursday from noon to 3 Eastern. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.